Hello and welcome to a 10-minute takes 5-phase review for the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. So the way we like to do things here is that we like to give you our final score first, and we come to the final score by rating the game in 5 separate categories. Those 5 separate categories are how fun the game is to play, the level design of the game, how engaging the game is, the presentation of the game, and the bugs and glitches. So we've played this game an incredible amount of time. We've been holding off on this review because we wanted to play this game as much as possible. And I feel like we finally got to that point this weekend. I was playing it this morning, putting in my final hours before giving my scores to this. So Sam, you ready to give our final score for Red Dead Redemption 2 and then go through our 5 phases?
Yes.
Okay, so my final rating came out to a 9.4 out of 10.
My final rating came to an 8.8 out of 10.
Okay, so the first phase of this review is how fun is this game to play? And for me, Red Dead Redemption is a 9 out of 10.
For me, my fun factor was an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Mine was a 9 out of 10 only because I felt like the controls were super sluggish. But the other aspect is that they wanted so much realism to go into this game that it takes time to do. It takes time to do anything. You want to eat, you're going to need to take a minute to sit down, make a campfire, and cook your food. You're just not popping stuff out of your pocket. And, well, there are those elements where you do pop things out of your pocket, like a can of beans, and you just chug the beans, throw it on the ground. But if you want to have steak, you need to make a campfire, you need to cook the steak, then you need to eat it. Same thing like
my guy didn't have much steak.
And I don't blame you, that stuff takes time to do, and honestly, I'm just not interested in doing those kinds of things in the game. The other thing that limited the fun factor for me, or at least what made it take a hit, is that there's too many times where my character or Arthur did things in the game that I didn't want him to do, such as this morning I was playing it and I picked up a sick guy on the side of the street and he needed a doctor, so I was riding him into town, and as I was riding him into town, my horse made a hard left turn and just beamed it straight into the side of a building, killed the guy that I was trying to take to the doctor. I then got a murder charge. I had the law chasing me, and then I had a $30 bounty on my head once I got out of town. And that kind of stuff happened, I don't want to say often, but enough to where it bothered me and at times made me just want to stop playing the game.
And I think it had something to do with the controls, and it takes a long time to get used to the controls, but there's so much downtime with driving the horse from place to place and riding the horse from place to place. It just was so much for me, to the point where by the time I got to a place, it had already been 30 minutes till I got everything ready. I got my clothes ready. I've eaten. I've talked to somebody to get to the mission. And then I finally get to the mission, and I've already been playing the game for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And by that point, I'm like, ugh, I have to do all this. It's engaging and it's fun, but like, I had to mark it down because there's so much downtime. And the first 3 chapters are so long to get through. And the 4th chapter is where it starts to really take place and have a lot more fun. And once you hit the half point of the game, that's where all this stuff kind of explodes, and there's a lot of things to do, but to get there takes forever.
It does take a long time. I will say one of the things I really like that's actually kind of fun with this game is this is essentially a cowboy outlaw simulator. That's what it is. You're dropped into this world. You can do whatever you want as an outlaw. You can dress them up the way you want them to. You can be a bad outlaw. You can be a good outlaw. You have like a good and bad bar that you can do. And there's certain perks.
I was such a bad outlaw because I kept running in and accidentally shooting people. Like, I didn't mean to. Like, I kept pushing the wrong button, and I ended up being a really bad outlaw. But it wasn't intentional.
Well, I will say the game is super fun when you're in these shootouts. You're using Deadeye. You're robbing trains. You're stealing wagons. There is a lot of stuff to immerse you and to generally just have fun playing this game. But like you said, there is a lot of downtime between these segments, which for people like us that have full-time jobs can be a little difficult.
I mean, it's difficult to finish. You have to sit down and spend a lot of time. And it's not a game that you can just play every once in a while and play for an hour or two and that's that. Like, you have to invest a lot of time to get the good stuff in the game, to get to rob the banks and rob the trains. The trains were the best part. Robbing the I really enjoyed robbing the trains.
Yeah, it was fun.
But those only happened every once in a while, or when you chose to, or when you came around to finding a mission that would let you do that. It just takes so long.
Yeah. But that's my take on the fun factor for the game. The next phase is the level design. So the level design is made up of how intricate is the open world that Rockstar made and the mission structures for the actual story missions that you do. And for me, the level design of this game was a 10 out of 10.
My level design was a 9 out of 10.
So for me, the actual map, the open world that this game takes place in is immense. There's so much to do. You can pick up side missions and side activities just by riding from one location to another. So you'll be riding down the street and all of a sudden you'll just have someone in the middle of the road be like, I need help. And then you can stop, help that person, and then you'll get some sort of like reward for helping them, which is what happened with me with that doctor character, except I didn't get the reward. I murdered him by accident.
Accidental murder.
Yeah. Or you'd be just riding down the road and then you'll get jumped by a rival gang. They're like, there he is. He's the one that killed such and such. Get him. And then all of a sudden you'll be in a shootout with a gang of 5 guys.
Yeah.
Which to me, it can be both fun or frustrating. So it's fun when you just like want to putz around in the game and you're not in a hurry. It's frustrating for me when you're in a hurry, you just want to get the mission over with and you're being jumped by a rival gang. You're like, oh, not this again.
Yeah, I would have to say, I think that kind of goes back into my fun factor of why I knocked it down a little bit lower than you, is because I couldn't get from A to B all the time, that I wanted to just I just wanted to get there, and I was getting jumped, or I had to stop, and I had to be a good person, so I had to get my conscience up, and I couldn't get him to be, no matter how hard I tried and stopped to help the people, I couldn't get my person to be a good person because I kept running into things and accidentally shooting them.
Yeah. I see. You'd be like, hey, I'm going to help this guy with this horse, and all of a sudden here, bang, and you'd be like, no!
I was like, no, why did that happen? But the level design was quite fantastic. I mean, getting from place to place, it visually looks stunning. In the beginning, I think it's in chapter 2, he goes hunting with that one guy for a bear.
Yeah.
You go out and you hunt in the wilderness and you look for a bear, and the mountains and getting there and having to camp. That was kind of really cool to do every once in a while when you were kind of on here to have fun and relax and just kind of go around.
So the things you can do in this game is that you can go robbing trains, stealing wagons, you can go hunting for legendary animals, you can go fishing,
you can build relationships,
banks.
you can...
And those are just things I can think of off the top of my head that you can do, which is part of the level design mission structure of this game, and one of the reasons why it is just like a simulation of what it is to be an outlaw, because you don't need to push forward with the story all the time. You can take a break and be like, all right, I'm just gonna go be a hunter for a while, and then you can spend the next 5 hours just hunting animals and crafting new clothing and stuff out of the animals that you hunt.
Right.
One of the other things that I really liked with the level design was how they mixed up the mission structure, so you're not always doing the same thing over and over. So you're robbing a train, and then you're helping out an old flame of Arthur, and then you're meeting up with your gang, and you're gonna go rob a bank, and then you're stealing cattle or like sheep or somebody with your gang members. And there's always, every mission felt fresh.
And I would have to say that when you did the missions with different people, or whether it was a solo mission or there was just one other person, exactly like what you said, it was a different connection between Arthur and the person that you were with, and the conversations that they had were so real and enjoyable to listen to, because it felt like you were watching a movie.
John said he was going back to the auction yard to collect the money for those sheep.
He'd be a damn idiot going anywhere near that town right now.
He reckoned he'd be able to slip in and out.
Oh, well. If it's John's idea, it must be a good one.
So one of the best open worlds that I've played. Level design is absolutely tremendous in this game. Really like it. The next phase of the review is how engaging is this game to play. And by engaging, I mean, can you play this game for 2 to 3 hours and not realize that 2 to 3 hours just passed? For me, it was a 9 out of 10 with how engaging it is.
I said an 8 out of 10.
So for me, it gets knocked down a tad because we've hinted at it, but it's the travel mechanics of this game. So when you go from camp to city, it's a task.
I feel like that's what people enjoyed though about this game. I think that was one area that people really I don't know. From what I've read and what I've heard, that was a component that people really like, and that's kind of what we're hyping on. So I don't know if that's just our style with our games, but the length and time that you had to invest in getting from A to B, to sit there and play it for 4 hours and get maybe 2-3 hours of actually doing the shooting and the robbing and all of those things, it just felt like a lot of time to invest. You really had to pull a big chunk of time to play this game to get what you want out of it.
So that's the only reason I'd take a point off of the engaging, because of the travel mechanic. I wish there was more fast travel and it was easier to do fast travel, but everything else with the game, the characters are well thought out, well acted, the dialogue's fantastic, the actors that they hired are fantastic. They really pull you into the world and make you care about these characters, even when there's like, I did a one-off mission for a character named Mary this morning who was kidnapped, and you needed to go get her back, and there's this whole story, this history of this character, and you really want, like, once you actually finally get to the location, which it wasn't far, you get there, you're like, oh, I really like want to save this person now.
I will say, what I do like though is that you really can pick and choose what you do.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stick with a mission or a story mission that's going to take you a couple hours. You can do those side missions and kind of do a couple hours. You've done it, you've enjoyed yourself, and then you can kind of move on.
Yeah, I want to touch on it real quick. Another aspect is that my favorite side activity to do was being a bounty hunter. Absolutely loved being a bounty hunter. I would go from town to town, collect a bounty poster, go find the outlaw that they were looking for, hogtie him, bring him back, and then collect my reward.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. That was a lot of fun.
That was awesome. That's my favorite, and it's part of what makes this game engaging for me. It's little things like that. So the next phase of our review is presentation. So presentation is there any aspect of this game that comes off as lazy? Everything from the opening menu to the closing credits. Is there anything here that looks like it was haphazardly done or half-baked? And for me, the presentation is a 10 out of 10.
For me, the presentation is a 10 out of 10.
The attention to detail, the acting, the menus, everything. Just your interactions with the townfolk.
And once you got used to interacting with the menus and getting all of your guns and figuring that out, it didn't take me a long time to get comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Which sometimes in games, it's complicated and I'm trying to figure it out. But for this, it was quite straightforward. I felt like this was more straightforward than God of War as far as like the menu goes and trying to understand the menu.
Yeah, I can see
I
that. God of
understood
War.
the menu pretty quickly in this game.
Yeah, God of War could be a little complicated just because of the crafting aspect of it. But with this game presentation, top notch, one of the best presentations that I've seen this year. So the next phase of the review is bugs and glitches. Bugs and glitches, the only time I'm going to take a point off of this score is if I get a bug or glitch that breaks the mission and I have to restart the mission. For me, bugs and glitches came out to, and I take 1 point off for every bug and glitch I encounter that makes me restart a mission. And for me, it's a 9 out of 10. I experienced just one mission breaking glitch.
I experienced one too, and it was right in the beginning.
For me,
and it was frustrating.
For me, the game breaking glitch came on a mission when it was a main story mission. You're after some, I can't remember exactly who they were, but it was like another rival gang. I hogtied the guy, and then the hogtie animation, I got stuck into the hogtie animation, and I couldn't get out of it, and I had to restart the mission. And that was something like 30 minutes of gameplay I had to redo. Not the end of the world, but in a game where 30 minutes already kind of feels long, to have to do that same 30 minutes again with the traveling you have to do was a real bummer. Now, I only experienced one, so out of the dozens of hours that we played, to experience only one glitch, I feel like that's pretty good.
I experienced one in the very beginning where the very first train robbery, luckily it happened pretty early where I didn't need to go back that far, but the character got stuck when he was on top of the train. He had to save his friend, and his friend's arm was like stuck inside the train and he couldn't get it, and I had to start the whole thing over.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for the 5 phases of our review. Once again, to reiterate, my final score came out to a 9.4.
Mine came out to an 8.8 out of 10.
So how would you guys rate this game in a 5-phase review? It's fun, level design, engaging, presentation, and bugs and glitches. What would be your scores? And comment below, let us know. So that's it for this review. We're doing Pokemon Let's Go next. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. We have more coming. Thanks for watching, everybody.
There's been a brutal murder back there. Thanks. You're on this. Hold it right there.